Revive Zone. I'm Beverly Hills, and this video here is another of my hair care tips video. So just to give you a little background of me, I'm a licensed cosmetologist of 44 years, and I have always, from day one, even when I was in beauty school, it was about getting back to the basics. It was about the baseline. It was about the science of hair, what the hair and the scalp really needed to be fully alive, to be fully healthy. And so as 44 years in the industry, I've seen, I've watched the hair, the epidemic of hair loss come into being. In fact, I was in the process, my whole thing in the hair care industry was uh, to prevent that. Okay, even when I was in beauty school, they talked about chemicals all the time. I was taking people out of chemicals, so because I could foresee that there was going to be a hair loss epidemic, and unfortunately, I was correct. I would have liked to have not been correct, because then people would have, they wouldn't have lost, we wouldn't have this epidemic. Okay, and so it started with black women. It started with the relaxers. Straighten your hair. Everybody sat in a chair, they got their hair straightened because it wasn't straight. Okay, if you were Caucasian, then if you got, because your hair was straight, you got curls, you got a perm to make it curly. But no one was a no in when you come into the industry, no one, the whole concept was put a chemical in their hair because that's sustaining. Well, I could see that clearly wasn't going to be sustaining, because it was going to take people's hair out. They were going to be without hair. And see, and people don't realize it's not really the hair that's the issue. What has happened is that the scalps have been destroyed. So it's like, look at it as a garden, okay? You have a garden. You're growing plants from this garden, food from this garden. It's not the plants themselves. They're growing from the soil. You come in, you spray the soil with some chemical that destroys all the nutrients in the soil. Doesn't matter how many seeds you put in that ground from that point. Nothing's going to grow, because the soil is what allows the plant to grow. The scalp is what allows the hair to grow. You could literally damage all your hair right now, as long as your scalp is healthy out there. But as long as the scalp is healthy, the hair will grow back. Okay, the problem is the scalps have been damaged, and so therefore there's nothing for the hair to grow from. The root, which means the root systems in the hair, in the scalp, which is called the papillae. It's the root system at the bottom, at the base of the hair follicle that's inside the scalp, that has been damaged. Okay, and what people did not realize about the hair relaxers is that even if you did not burn, and most people did, they felt the burn, but even if you didn't feel the burn, it was still technically a third-degree burn, because so what happened is that it stripped it melted your scalp, literally melted your scalp, and as it healed as scar tissue. And what happens with scar tissue? It gets thicker and thicker, and eventually it just smothered out the hair. So then went from relaxers to melanated women saying, okay, well, I'm going to do braids. Braids would have been fine, but you couldn't actually reason with the stylist at the time, and to get them to understand that braiding the hair too tight does not ensure that the braid stays. What it does is that there's only so much play in your scalp. Okay, so if you take this section right here and you pull it to this extent here, you're eliminating all the play in the scalp. So by the time you finish the head of hair for braiding, you get down here, there's no movement in the scalp. And so the only thing that can happen at that point is that in order for the hair to get a relief, or the scalp to get a relief, the hair has to come out of the scalp. And so that's what has happened. Okay, and okay, so then we went from that to braids. The braids start taking the hairlines out. And just so that you know, I know everybody calls it edges. Okay, what they call edges is technically the technical name. The true name for edges is actually hairline. So it's the hairline that is being destroyed. Okay, and so we went from the braiding, destroying the hairlines, to now the weaves. Started out with the braided weaves, okay? So you had traction alopecia, which then, so they're braiding the hair. So then it was like, okay, so women were saying they were using the protective styles. Few actually use them as protective styles. When you use them as a protective style, what you're actually doing, you're still maintaining the health of the hair up under there. You're not doing anything that's going to destroy the hair, so that when you get finished with the protective style, you have a head full of hair. That's not what happened. What happened was that it was just became easy. And so then you end up with traction alopecia along that braided hair. Okay. And so then after traction alopecia, there was no hair left to braid. So then we're into glue. And so now the glue has caused all types of illnesses. They don't realize that, the lupus, where all that stuff, all those autoimmune deficiency diseases come from. Okay, that glue is very toxic to the body. Okay, not just the scalp. So then when you put the glue on the hair, on the scalp, okay, and you, first off, it goes down into the scalp. It's absorbed into the scalp. It's a chemical. It's destroying the root system. It's destroying your scalp. It's filling in that follicle. Okay? It's destroying that. So now the hair can't grow from that. Plus, when you remove that glue, that hair, that wig, that hair piece, that weave, you are pulling out the root system from the hair. There's nothing to grow back. So what has actually happened is that the hair loss epidemic is actually caused by the beauty industry. So basically, if you have a stylist who has, whose hair is in the same condition as the masses of hair loss victims, I'll call them victims, then it means that they are not into hair care. They don't know anything about hair care. I went to beauty school for my cosmetology instructor's license, right? I was thrown aback. I was amazed. It blew me away that there was really no instruction going on in the schools. They really weren't teaching hair care. They were teaching silhouettes. And what's interesting and that people don't realize about the field of cosmetology is that cosmetology is actually a science. It's about the science of hair, okay? And so it's not just about combs and brushes, because the textbook for cosmetology is actually about anatomy. It's the anatomy of the body. It's the anatomy of the structure of hair, the anatomy of the scalp, the facial bones, the tissues, and all of that. It's really a step below nursing. In fact, when I was in beauty school, I don't know how it is now, but if you had a cosmetology license, you had already you got credits for that if you went into nursing, because it's really about anatomy. But if you go into it thinking that it's about silhouettes and what things look like, you're not going to get into the hair care of it. You're going to just get into the silhouette, which means you're going to ultimately end up with a hair loss epidemic as we see now. So, what has to happen is we've got to get back to basics, not just with hair care, with life in general, you know, the basics of it. So, how are you combing your hair? How are you brushing your hair? Are you brushing your hair? Do you know that the scalp has to have stimulation? You have to literally move the scalp. Brushing matters. I know there are stylists, or there's a whole concept out there that black women shouldn't brush their hair. You probably shouldn't brush your hair if it's fizzled dry. You need to put some moisture in it so you can do it, but your scalp needs stimulation. The other thing about like, the hair on a normal head of healthy hair, the hair loses about 80 to 81 strands of hair a day just from normal shedding. That shedding could be from just replacement of hair. It could be from just breaking, snapping, anything. But look at it like this. If you have your hair up in a hairstyle that's up and it's been up for a week, or it's been in braids for a week, right? And it's normal to lose 80 strands of hair a day and still technically have a head of healthy hair. And that's, we talk about a healthy head of hair. We're not talking about a head of hair that's so dry and brittle that it snaps at the thought, when you look at it. We're not talking about that. We talk about a healthy head of hair. Okay, it's going to lose 80 strands a day. So if I took my hair, which is healthy, and I pulled it up in a ponytail, and I have that ponytail up for 7 days, however long I have it up. And then after 7 days, I take it down. Okay? I take it down. There's still a shedding of 80 strands of hair a day. So when I comb through that, I'm going to have 80 strands of hair a day times 7. Okay? Most people say their hair is falling out, and it may be falling out depending on the condition of it when it, overall condition of it. But we're still talking about a healthy head of hair. So you have to factor that into when you say you don't want to brush your hair, you want to comb through your hair. You have to comb out that hair. If the body sheds 10, it's unbelievable. No, I think it's 10 billion dead skin cells a day. That don't even seem fathomable. But then when you think about all the dust on the planet, where do you think it comes from? The dust is from us. The shedding of that. So what would happen if it never shed it off? We'd have a buildup of dead skin cells. The skin would not be able to breathe, and we would suffer. Our health would suffer tremendously, which is actually still happening because people's skin is inactive. So there has to be a get back to basics campaign in everybody's life. That's part of the whole healing process. Get back to the simple things, the real simple things. Massage your scalp. Make sure you comb your hair properly. Make sure you have the right tools. So like, okay, so you have an ethnic head of hair, okay? And you're going to flat iron your hair, all right? But around the hairline, that flat iron is not going to get close enough to smooth that hair out. But you're still trying to use the flat iron to do that with. If you do that, what happens is that you are going to burn the hair. Why? Because you're using a tool for something that it can't do. It's just, so I know they have this whole thing about, the straightening combs are just old fashioned. The straightening combs have a purpose because they have a job they can do that a flat iron can't do. That's like trying to use a screwdriver to drive a nail in. No, you get a hammer to drive the nail in. Anytime you're trying to use a tool beyond its means, you're going to damage whatever you're trying to do. So if you're trying to straighten out, smooth out your hairline with the flat iron, you're just gonna burn it because you're not gonna get in there. You're gonna keep going and keep going and keep going until you just burn it out. Just get a straightening comb and comb right through it and hit it once and it's done. And that way you get to keep your hairline. But and don't get caught up in that. Well, that's old fashioned. No, there's a reason for it. It serves a purpose. It does the job. It does the job the first time. Okay. So the thing is, you want to use the tools for what they're designed for. Don't try to get them to do something they can't do because you're just going to damage your hair or whatever it is you're trying to do. You're going to damage it. Okay. Shampooing is so important. That's why most and a lot of clients will have get their hair done professionally, seemingly professionally, supposed to be professional, because they want the hair shampoo. That's vital to the entire experience. As a stylist, you can't even begin to try to have a good hairstyle without a good shampoo, without the hair being clean, stripped of all the residue that's on it. Doesn't matter how good the cut is, doesn't matter how good your styling is. If it's full of debris, it's just going to be stuck. You can't see the good cut on the stuck head. So shampooing is important. Now, so if shampooing is important, removing all that shampoo residue is equally important because it continues to burn the hair if you don't. It just dries it out. Okay? And that requires you to make sure you rinse properly. You need to, so when you're going to shampoo your hair, you're going to rinse your hair. You're not going to just put some water on and then put the shampoo on it. You're going to rinse and rinse. The longer you rinse your hair prior to shampooing it, the better the shampoo you will have. Okay? And so when you massage your scalp, so we're going to talk about massaging now. Okay, I know I keep just bouncing around, but that's how it is. Okay? You want to put, even when you shampoo your hair, when you shampoo your hair, you don't want to put your hands on top of your hair like this, because first you're going to tangle it, okay? And if you have long nails, you don't want to be scratching your hair with your nails because you're going to damage your scalp, okay? And it's easy to damage the scalp, especially if it's tight and it's inflexible. You can easily cut it, okay? Bacteria gets in there. That's when you get those itches that you can't scratch. They don't just won't seem to go away. That's because it's deeply down embedded into the scalp. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to put your hands under your hair and you want to move the scalp. If your scalp is tight, eventually, okay, so scalp tights in inflexible scalps is the precursor to hair loss. Why? Because the oxygen is constricted, the blood flow is constricted. It has to have movement. So if it's so, that's why people, when they lose their hair, it starts at the top of their scalp, at the top of their head, because there's no movement up there. There's no stimulation up there. Even on the sides, there's some level of stimulation because you lay on it, you pick in your hair, you know, there's some type of movement there because there's always something going on that's going to uh, touch that area of your scalp. But on the top, it's just, and if you can't actually take your hands and move your scalp and feel your hand, not your fingers like this, move your scalp. If you do that every day, that will increase the vibrancy of your hair, the health of your scalp, and stimulate hair growth. Plus, it'll help relax you. Okay, so if you do it before you go to bed at night, it'll help you sleep better. Okay, so yeah, so those are the few of the things I want to discuss about getting back to the basics of it all. Okay, you know, when it comes back, let's say skincare, for example. The basics of skincare is to make sure. So if you so when you shampoo your hair, few people shampoo their hair just one time, unless of course they just recently shampooed it. But let's say you go a week without shampooing your hair, you're generally not going to just shampoo it once. You're going to generally shampoo it twice and basically 3 times, depending on. So skincare works the same way. If you wash your face once, you're just getting off the surface of what's on there. Okay, if you wash it a second time, you're going deeper. If you wash it a third time, you remove all of that debris off your skin, out of your pores, and then your skin can breathe. It works the same way with brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth one time, it's not going to remove everything out of there. You get up in the morning, and it's going to be you don't have to brush your teeth 3 times in order to actually clean that residue out of your mouth when you wake up in the morning, or whenever you brush them. Okay, so look at it as that. It's basically, you know, uh, okay, so it's about the foundation of everything. So all this stuff that people want, that is the advance of the foundation. If the foundation is not in place, it doesn't matter what you do, advance is going to crumble. It's going to fall by the wayside. So let's like, for example, you take a pyramid, right? Most people, when they think of a pyramid, if you think of a pyramid in terms of number, you think of 3. That's because when you're looking at it on one-dimensional aspect, it's a triangle. You see 3. But a true pyramid is based on a foundation of 4. It's based on a foundation of 4. It's which means it's grounded and it comes up. So when we're looking at it from that one dimensional. We see 3, 1, 2, 3 points, but it's based on a foundation of 4. 4 is a foundation. The reason why houses are built on foundations of 4, buildings are built on foundations of 4, is because they're sustaining. My point is, that's how important the basics are to hair care, skin care, life care, whatever kind of care you're talking about. Get back to the basics of existence, of life. You know, what's the basics of healthcare? Drink some water. You are like over 70% water. You have to have water. This whole concept of I don't like water is ridiculous. You are water. So when you say you don't like water, you don't like yourself. You're not even trying to replace yourself, replenish yourself. Get back to the basics of it all. You know, the beauty industry. I remember when I was one year, this is back in the 80s, right? And like I said, I was taking client. My clientele was the result of word of mouth from women that wanted to not lose their hair, that was tired of the hair loss, was tired of the damaged hair. So my whole business was built on healthy hair. I said getting women to having healthy heads and hair and scalp. So that was, it was word of mouth basically. And so I had lots of clients, but I was taking them out of relaxers in the 80s, right? So that futuristically they would still have hair. And I remember one of my coworkers said to me, he says, you know, Beverly, you're not going to ever make any money. I didn't know what he was talking about because I was making lots of money. You know, he said, I said, why is that? Because you don't do chemicals. But I couldn't understand what he was talking about because I was making good money. But what he meant was that I didn't do chemicals and I didn't do weaves, right? Because weaves was actually was just starting at that point, right? Um, and he, because basically they were getting like, you know, uh, over hundreds of dollars for these weaves. Well, first off, I didn't like weaves because it wasn't natural, you know, and for me, as far as relaxers went, I didn't like the way the hair felt to my fingers. I like the way it felt when it didn't have relaxer on it, and I can make it look like it had relaxer. Well, actually, relaxed hair doesn't look healthy to me at all. Okay, you can have a better head of healthy hair with if it's relaxed, but in and of itself, in comparison to a healthy head of hair without relaxer, there's no comparison, right? I can get it to move and shine and have all that body without all that, right? And so that's what I was into, and that's what my clientele wanted, and that was what I was known for. Okay, and still known for that. And so he said, "You're not going to make any money." And I said, "Well, yeah, I am going to make money because I can tell you this: when the dust settles on all of this weave and all these chemicals and stuff, women are going to lose their hair, unfortunately. And when that happens, the people that know how to restore that is going to be needed. Somebody's going to have to know how to fix that. So even if I wasn't making money now, which I was, I would certainly make it futuristically because somebody's got to fix the mess that you all have created on just silhouettes and no structure, and not understanding or accepting that the beauty industry, the cosmetology in and of itself is a science. It's the science of hair. It's no less of a science than biology. That's actually what it is, biology. But or any other science. It's a science. And when you get into the science of it, you cannot and will not destroy the hair and scalp. So so just to recap, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure that you when you shampoo your hair, you want to rinse your hair a long time before you rinse it for 3 minutes before you apply any shampoo. Make sure it's completely wet, saturated. Okay, and in between shampoos, you want to do the same thing. Rinse all that residue out. After you're done with that, you want to remove the the soap curds. So what you can do is you can get you a gallon of water. Okay, put a half a cup of vinegar in it. Pour that over your hair. It will help remove the soap curds. Okay. After that, you want to rinse that out with warm water, then rinse with cold water. The other thing is the whole thing about loving hot water. You might love hot water, but your hair and your scalp doesn't. So if you want to see a difference in your hair, instant difference, shampoo your hair with cold water. You'll be amazed. You'll be absolutely amazed. Okay, so that's that. You want to massage your scalp. You want to put your hands up under the hair and move the scalp around. Okay, not with your nails because you're going to damage the scalp. Okay, what else did I say? You want to drink water. So if you're dehydrated, so is your hair. So let's say you're one of the people that don't like hair. I mean, don't like water. You hate water. You don't drink water. You never drink water. And so, but you want your hair to be healthy. Your hair is an extension of you. If you're dehydrated, so is your hair. So when I was in the salon, what I would do is I would have when my clients would come in, I would hand them a bottle of water, and they had to drink it. And I would have them fill their hair before they drank the water, and then have fill their hair after they drink the water by the time when I got finished shampooing their hair. And they were amazed. It's like, what happened? I said, your hair just drank some water. You're dehydrated, so is your hair. So guess what? That's going to affect the outcome of your hair. It's going to affect my work. If you're internally dehydrated, it doesn't matter what you put on the hair. Hair products will only penetrate, will only do so much. So if you have a hair moisturizer, it's only going to moisturize the hair to a certain extent. The rest has to come from internal. That means you have to drink water. So if you don't like water, you might as well not like healthy hair or healthy skin or healthy anything. It's just that simple. Because we're getting back to basics, right? Right. Okay. I think that's what I covered. Okay, you wanna make sure when you comb your hair, you don't rip through it. Start from the ends up, work your way up, remove the tangles, clear the path, and then you don't have to break your hair and damage it. Okay? And get a good brush and brush your scalp daily. That will help remove the built up dead skin. Okay? This on the scalp. And just a reminder, this is called the hairline. I know they call them edges, but you can still call them edges, but I'm just going to let you know what it's actually called. It's the hairline. Okay? All this around here is your hairline. Okay? And also, so when it comes to the little girls and you're braiding their hair and putting these ponytails in there, you can pull out their hairline too, because you're pulling their hair too tight. You're braiding. So you don't want to braid your hair or you have your hair in the same style all the time. So if you part your hair here and you wear that hair parted that way forever and ever, eventually all that hair is going to start breaking. Why? Because it's pressure. So you have to change the parting to give that hair over here a break. Plus it'll increase the body. So once you wear it in the same direction all the time, the hair just gets flat. You switch it up, you get more body, you get more volume. Okay, so I'm gonna make this too long. I'm gonna cut this up in shorts anyway. So, but hopefully that helps you all. Okay, and yeah, check out my website. I have a hair care system called the Remedy Hair Care Revitalizing System. It's excellent. You will see the difference in your hair. But if you just use these tips and don't get that, you'll still see a difference in your hair. Okay, so hopefully this helps you. And thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.